I'm fascinated by Charlie Kirk. He's an incredible story. And as much as he's covered, he's undercovered. And as much as he's highly rated, he's underrated.
Great to be here, Mark. Thank you. It's an honor. I am a fan.
You have built something really extraordinary. When people ask you what your occupation is, what do you say?
I would best describe myself as an entrepreneur, which
Yeah.
so I thank you for all the kind words, Mark, and some of that is earned and some of it is not. So thank you. It's just at right place, right time, honestly. And I would agree with one of your things. I have probably been underestimated by a lot of people on the left and even on the right at times, but I definitely wear several hats. I do a 2-hour program every single day that you're nice enough to join quite frequently. Our audience loves you, by the way, Mark. It's phenomenal, which gets turned into a podcast. It's on hundreds of radio stations across the country. It's simulcast on multiple television stations as well.
And just to be clear, for some people, that would be a full-time job, 2-hour daily show with that level of distribution. So that's one thing you do. Incredible. Keep going.
Yeah, and then on my day job, as I joke around, is CEO of Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action and Turning Point PAC, but that one only really gets deployed in short-term election cycles. But really, Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action, which I started will be 13 years ago in June, and well over 1,000 full-time people on staff now, all across the country, working in several different departments, from our high school department, our college department, our faith department. We have Blexit, and we have Turning Point Academy. We have our entire Turning Point Action side that is divided from our grassroots team, our ballot chasing team. We have a whole student government project. We have I would say, a pretty sophisticated digital operation on top of all of that.
And that's over 1,000 people, right?
Correct.
And how much money annually was coursing through those various things?
Over 100 million. It's about 100 to 120 million a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, probably as much as you delegate, also a full-time job.
That is a full-time job to raise that, without a doubt. And look, we're super blessed and very fortunate with over 400,000 donors that now give to us, which is a real number. On top of that, I also create a lot of content, and I speak. Yesterday I did 5.5 hours of speaking on campus at Texas A&M University, on top of doing the show and on top of raising money. And so we post those videos online, and the last couple years they've really gone super viral and making a big difference with young folk.
Have you and I ever talked about Rush as a broadcaster? I can't remember.
No, we haven't. No, and I would love that.
I used to listen when I would take vacations and I would drive, like out west. I would arrange the rides for 3 hours to listen. Rush would only talk about things he was interested in.
That's
and
exactly
the audience
right.
And the audience knows. The audience knows if you're hosting a show and you're talking about something that's not interesting.
And what I loved, first of all, you're exactly right. One of my favorite shows ever. Hilariously, it's so funny you say that. I remember I once had to drive from Denver to Steamboat, and I found the signal of Rush on the entire drive. There's something about driving in the West and listening to Rush Limbaugh that just kind of fits, right? Like the Americana landscape and listening to Rush. And he was just going on and on and on about his iPhone. It was like 30 minutes. He was talking about how he got a new iPhone, and he made it so interesting. Right? I mean, like, how could he was talking about all the new features and how he's in touch with Apple. And actually, Rush gave me an iPhone. He would give it to some of his friends, and he gave me many models ago an iPhone. Yeah. Look, I actually grew up as, quote, not a Rush baby, but I was told Rush was too much of an extremist growing up, by people around me, not by my parents. It was just kind of the vibe that he had.
I've told people for years, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or journalist, whatever, if you want to be a broadcaster on audio, video, or both, go listen to Rush, hours and hours if you haven't listened, because it's just so much to learn from. And I say the same thing about you now, as both a broadcaster and as a political entrepreneur. Like, if you're a Democrat and you're not studying Charlie Kirk, you're making a huge mistake, because you're doing stuff that is just like Rush. People have done stuff like it, but not exactly what you're doing. Your work organizing and energizing young people on behalf of the conservative movement and President Trump is also, I would say, of all the things you've done, one of your most historic achievements. It really is historic. And there was a lot of skepticism. You know this, even from people who you're friends with, even people who like you, who said, Turning Point's not going to turn any young people out. They don't know what they're doing. They've never done it before. Get out the vote. It's not for amateurs. Like Donald Trump, you're riding the crest of a movement.
I talk a lot with the folks in the administration. I also, and I'm sure this will come up in Q&A, I think they're doing a much better job than the media would always give them credit for. There's a mass amount of incoming, and they have picked the biggest fights because the voters voted for those fights. I'm just here as a friend of the president, and again, right place, right time. Look, as far as like where I find myself in the role, the best way I think I actually help the administration is not like being in the White House or being in the Eisenhower Executive Office building. All that's nice, right? That's amazing. It's an incredible enormity to even walk those halls. It's actually being in the grassroots. And then also being an explainer of what the administration is doing or trying to do to people that don't have time to consume,
Yep.
you know, 6 hours of this information and get down into the weeds.
There are people who have the job I do who would look at your contact with the administration and the money you raise, and they'd say this is evil and insidious, and there's something wrong with it. And if you were on the left, if you were doing this with Barack Obama and you were organizing young people and helping pressure members of Congress who weren't supporting the president's agenda, you'd be Time Person of the Year. You'd be considered a hero by the media, but because you're doing it on behalf of
definitely not going to get that, Mark.
Yeah,
but
because you're doing it on behalf of a Republican, it's treated differently. The reason I find you so interesting is because you've created a new paradigm for how to do this. Do you think you'd be good at being a CEO of a private sector company?
Well, I will say our show, which is private, is profitable.
Yeah.
So
if I gave you $100 million investment and said go start a manufacturing business in the United States, what industry would interest you? What would you like to make?
Well, I think that drones are the future, and so I'm fascinated by drones, and I think that that he who is able to control and produce their own drones is going to be able to determine and chart their own destiny.
All right. Going to bring folks in for Mr. Kirk. As always, unmute. Tell him, us, where you are, for those who don't know, and tell us what's on your mind. And we start with Nilda. Go ahead, please.
Hi. Oh, my God. I'm so excited. I've been following Charlie for a long time. And now after Hilton trying to come out for governor here in California, what can we do here for our beautiful state? Charlie, you know how to.
Well, thank you. God bless you.
Great question. And just to frame it a little bit, California used to elect Republican governors, and except for Schwarzenegger, who was a bit of an anomaly, it's been a while. So do you think much about how to build a Republican Party in California, and what are the elements of that?
I think that it can be done in the next 10 years. And I know people might laugh, but listen, first of all, that's why I endorse Steve Hilton. I think that the chance of him winning this cycle might not be the best odds, but getting closer and closer to that is incredibly important. But if Hispanics, and especially Hispanic men, keep on moving in the direction that they have been moving nationally, California can be in play. I know over a long period of time, it requires voter registration, it requires no more demoralization. And finally, if young people continue to move in the broad way that we've seen, and California even minorly follows that trend, we could probably see some more a more competitive landscape in California. So I endorse Steve Hilton, and I wish him the best of luck and success.
All right. Nija, thank you. Nilda, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it. How did Barack Obama govern as president that you found admirable?
Found admirable, boy. I could tell you first. I mean, the obvious. Let me just tell you background, and then I will try the best to answer that question. Actually, I do have an answer to that. But first, I grew up in Chicago during the Obama craze, 08, 09. So I understood the celebrity and the aura of Obama.
Yeah.
The big hope that everybody would repeat time and time again that was his greatest failing is they thought it would be a de-emphasis of racial politics, not an emphasis of racial politics. We were talking more about race at the end of the Obama presidency than at the beginning. I think that was one of his great failings. What I actually think he did well was that he could have been way more radical his last 4 years. He kind of took it easy. I'd say this as a conservative. He did not issue flurries of radical executive orders. He was in some ways so careful to not come across as like overly revolutionary as a president. And there's a lot of historians that wrote this. And again, this is going to sound like improper, but you understand what I'm saying. There were some historians that have said about Obama that he knew he was the first black president, and he took that with a lot of weight. So he didn't want to be like overly radical and overly throwing away of White House custom. And for that, I actually admired. And again, I don't mean to racialize it. That was his own telling to his own inner circle, right? And so, yeah, I think that in that way, it was good. And then the other thing I admire that, and Republicans in Congress need to realize this, he went big. He won a mandate, and he went very big that first year. He went for health care. He went for stimulus. It cost him, but he went really big. And for that, I admire.
Charlie, what Supreme Court cases do you have your eye on now?
I don't know if it's being heard yet or if it's incorporated in a broader one, but the question on impoundment is the most important existential, I think, spending question in front. I'm sure, Mark, your reporting bears this out as well, of whether or not does the executive branch have to spend all the money that Congress appropriates.
Do you worry about Amy Coney Barrett and about the Chief Justice? Do you think it's an appropriate thing for you and your organization to do to kind of put the same pressure on them in advance of rulings? No,
absolutely not.
So you'll never.
In fact, no, I think it actually could have a self-defeating principle. I think that it sometimes could. Again, these are human beings that are judged. I mean, there's nothing you can do to what pressure. I mean, they're there for life.
Would you mobilize against them if they ruled adversely to the president's agenda?
I mean,
no,
I mean,
you wouldn't criticize them at a rally.
Criticize, yes, but instead, I think the way to win the Supreme Court is, remember, the old adage is they read newspapers too.
Yeah.
They listen to podcasts too.
Yeah.
Persuade them. They're people of high scholarly intent. They're very sophisticated. Instead of screaming into a rally like Chuck Schumer, you're going to feel the whirlwind or whatever, right? Maybe we need, in that particular instance, create an argument as to why you think their decision was right or wrong, or why you hope they'll rule a certain way.
All right. How many words in a thought bubble would you say, approximately?
How many words are in a thought bubble?
Yeah, about.
I've never. Six or seven. Yeah.
That's 6 or 7. All right. I want the Charlie Kirk thought bubbles on the following. This is the rapid round here. So just like here we go. What's the thought bubble? Here we go.
You asked the best questions. I told my team. I said I got to be on my game. Mark asked the best questions.
This would be good. This would be good. Charlie Kirk thought bubble. Marco Rubio wants to be president.
I prefer JD Vance, but Marco's great.
Okay.
I'm trying to count my words as I say it.
I understand. Hey, we'll go with approx. Jeanine Pirro, U.S. Attorney.
Phenomenal friend and far more qualified than the media realizes or is covering.
Is there any ally of the president who's not your friend?
Yes, but I'm not going to tell you who.
Really? Wow. Are you thinking of just like one particular person?
One or two.
One or two. Are they serving in the administration?
One of them is, yeah.
Okay, interesting. We'll have to come back to that next episode. All right, back to the thought bubble. 6 words. The president's team calls and said they want you to spend this weekend at Mar-a-Lago.
Thank you for the call. I have to see if I have a family conflict, but I'll do my best.
All right, and would you look for
which has actually happened before? Yeah,
I bet. If you didn't have a family conflict, would you look forward to it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, he's the best to be around. You've spent time around him. He's a force of nature. He's got, I think, at times supernatural energy. And yeah, I mean, if I could be helpful, I will always be helpful to the president or his team.
Okay. Somebody screens your calls. Let's say, I know probably mostly you just pick up your cell phone, but somebody screening your calls and they say,
it's true. I have my own phone.
But somebody's, you hand your phone to somebody because you're doing something and they're screening it and they pick up and they say, I want the thought bubble. Hey, Charlie, it's Roger Stone.
Say, hi, Roger. How can I help you today?
All right. So would you be happy to hear from Roger?
I like Roger. I advocated for his pardon, and he's a uniquely American political figure. They do not have like Roger Stones in the Netherlands. Like there's something about him
that's true.
That I find to be dramatic and fun and unpredictable.
Yeah. Okay. You look down at your phone and there's a text from Pete Hegseth. Says, Charlie, I just can't take it anymore. I think I got to quit.
No. We work too hard. You're too good of a man. Grin and bear it. Turn off your phone for a day and keep going.
Okay.
That would be my advice.
Okay. JD Vance says, hey, Marco and I are going to the Pope's first Mass this weekend. Want to come? Thought bubble.
I will say, actually, I have to be in London to debate at Oxford. But I would actually honestly say, thank you for the invite. Hope you guys have a great time. I'm not Catholic, but please invite someone who would value it more. And I would value it a lot, but I would feel as if I'd be like stealing a seat from someone where that would be like the coolest thing in their life as kind of a cradle Catholic. I mean that like non-sarcastically. I think that a cradle Catholic would have much more reverence for that, even though I would be floored and honored and I love Catholics, but I think that would be
understood. Okay,
really
you look down at your phone. It's a text. Ready? It says this. Hey, Charlie, it's Kamala Harris. I got your number. I'm going to be in Phoenix, and I would love to get together.
I would say, first I'd have to verify that it's actually her number.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'd say only on camera.
That would be your thought bubble? I'd only do it on camera?
Correct. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Would she text back and say, I've heard a lot of great things about you. I want to compare notes and at a private dinner.
No way. I would consider her to be disingenuous. Unless
Yeah.
there would be an intermediary that would advocate
Yeah. Okay.
for
Let's say
her.
you
Then I would.
probably
Then
had
I
some
would do it.
mutual friends.
Yes.
You would do it. And
No.
how would
Yes. Yes.
would you look forward to it?
I would, of course I would. I love learning. I learned this from Tucker. Sit down with people, even if you disagree. Ask great questions. Be curious.
Okay. Couple more. You get a call and you pick up the phone rings. You don't recognize the number. It's blocked number. You pick it up, and the person says, "This is Barack Obama, and I would like you to come to Chicago and speak to a group of young student leaders."
Yes, happy to. Absolutely.
Happy to. You would do that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'll speak. I mean, honestly, I'd love to meet Obama. I'm not like a fan of his, but I
You never
actually
met
think
him?
I have a whole. No, I haven't. No, I've seen him. I saw him at the inauguration, which was actually the first time I ever saw him in person. And I would love to privately figure out. I have a theory he's not actually as radical as the current left wing of his party
Yeah,
is.
That's accurate.
And I want to confirm that. I want to kind of feel out what drives him. And so, yeah, I mean, I'd meet him. And I think that if he wants me to speak to a bunch of students, I'll speak to, any students. We could maybe speak at the Obama Library if it ever gets finished.
South Park. Were you a fan of South Park as a boy?
Yes and no. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that when I was, it was a big deal when I was in like 8th, 9th grade. So I watched a couple episodes. Thinking I'd ever be on South Park was like beyond anything I had on my, even back this summer, I couldn't have imagined it. So.
Yeah. So they included you in the new episode. Do you care?
They did. I thought it was hilarious.
Thrill?
I thought it was awesome.
Hilarious.
I thought it was
Okay.
hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
people say, it was so funny. A lot of people on the left were mad that I wasn't mad. I thought it was really funny. And, a lot of people are, we have the master debater shirt. It's just kind of, you have to be able to laugh at yourself and don't take yourself so seriously. And honestly, like they captured the essence of like what we kind of do in a very South Parkian way. And, that's a symbol of success. And I think we on the right have to be able to laugh at ourselves better.
I've never been so proud of you for all your accomplishments. This to me was like the pinnacle.